Sounds like there's a lot Luka's expecting here. In a way, that's putting the pressure solely on the Lakers front office.
Oh, yeah.
Every conversation I had with the Lakers, I felt like the option of using the cap space for a trade is very much in play.
If the Lakers are trying to get to the promised land, Austin Reeves and Luka cannot be your two best players to lead you to a championship.
The Los Angeles Lakers are heading into a defining offseason, and the stakes are much bigger than most people think. This isn't just about adding a center. It's about proving they can build a team around Luka Doncic and keep him committed to the franchise long term. A year and a half ago, the Lakers pulled off one of the most stunning trades in NBA history, landing the reigning scoring champion for a package that many people saw as a massive bargain. When that deal happened, there was a clear expectation. By the summer of 2026, the Lakers would have a serious contender around Luka.
Initial message that Luka gave to the Lakers is, get me an A-list center.
Now that moment has arrived. The pressure is on, and every move over the next few weeks matters. If the Lakers get this offseason wrong, questions about Luka's future could become very real. In this video, we're breaking down the Lakers' offseason plans, the players they're targeting, and the key decision that could shape everything that happens next. Before anything else, we have to talk about the one player at the center of every Lakers decision, Luka Doncic. The Lakers' approach is straightforward. Luka is the franchise now. Every move they make this offseason is being viewed through the lens of one question: does it help build a contender around him? When the Mavericks traded Luka to Los Angeles, many believed Dallas was betting that his game would decline over time because of concerns about his conditioning. Instead, Luka responded with another dominant season. He led the NBA in scoring with 33.5 points per game, finished well ahead of the competition, added 8.3 assists, shot 47.6% from the field, and helped the Lakers post a 50-27 record before their season unraveled. Players like that rarely become available, especially in their prime. Luka was only 27 years old, a scoring champion, and already one of the league's biggest stars. The Lakers landed him in a deal that shocked the entire basketball world and completely changed the direction of the franchise. But acquiring Luka and keeping Luka are two different challenges. His contract gives him plenty of flexibility moving forward. Last summer, he agreed to an extension, but it wasn't a lengthy 5-year commitment. Instead, he signed a 3-year deal worth roughly $160 million with a player option in the final season. That means Luka could choose to hit free agency as early as 2028, putting real pressure on the Lakers to prove they can build a winner around him before that decision arrives.
LeBron's intention is to play. And right now, he's allowed to negotiate with the Lakers. I believe they're going back and forth.
The message from Luka's contract is pretty clear. By signing a shorter deal, he's giving the Lakers a window to prove they can build a contender around him. If they don't, he has the flexibility to explore other options in a few years. Luka hasn't hidden his frustration either. Looking back at last season, he didn't describe it as disappointing, he called it bad. Despite putting up elite numbers, he watched his former teammate Jalen Brunson reach the top of the mountain while the Lakers fell short. This summer, Luka made it clear what he wants: a strong roster, the right people in the locker room, and most importantly, a true starting caliber center. Multiple reports have repeated that same priority, and it's shaping the Lakers' entire offseason strategy. Then there's LeBron James, whose future remains one of the biggest storylines in the league. For the first time since joining the Lakers, he's an unrestricted free agent with several possible paths ahead. He could return to Los Angeles, consider another contender, or even think about retirement.
Pass with the Lakers and there is no deal there, then I think other teams like the Cavs should stand to attention.
Still, most league insiders continue to point toward the Lakers as the most likely outcome if LeBron plays another season. The biggest factor is financial. LeBron earned $53 million last year, while other realistic destinations would have a much harder time matching that kind of salary. Joining Golden State would likely mean LeBron taking a huge pay cut, and that's where things get interesting.
Look at how Rich Paul approached this situation on the Pat McAfee show.
Believe nothing that's out there because this is going to be a family decision.
The Lakers could technically offer a much larger contract than most other teams, but few around the league expect them to hand out a full max deal. The real question isn't whether LeBron takes less money, it's how much less he's willing to accept. This is already a major topic behind the scenes. Reports from Brian Windhorst indicate that the Lakers and LeBron's camp have been actively discussing contract terms, while other reports suggest the team's trade plans are closely tied to those negotiations. If the Lakers can make certain moves before free agency begins, they'll have more flexibility to use LeBron's bird rights, giving them a better chance to offer a more competitive salary. In other words, the roster moves and LeBron's contract situation are deeply connected.
Hearing that he's likely coming back, and also I'm hearing that one of his old teammates from Cleveland, Kevin Love, could likely be joining the Lakers too.
Right now, as I'm making this video, LeBron and Kevin Love are literally...
If talks were to stall, other teams would certainly take notice. The Cavaliers have been mentioned as one potential suitor. Even so, the prevailing belief around the league is that LeBron is still most likely to return to Los Angeles. For now, though, his camp isn't revealing much. Publicly, they're keeping things measured, as Rich Paul showed when discussing the situation on the Pat McAfee show. One factor that's easy to overlook is that Bronny James is already under contract for next season. Because of that, it feels like LeBron's decision could come down to what the Lakers accomplish this summer. If they make meaningful upgrades and give him a roster capable of competing, it's easy to see him returning for one more run.
They still just the fourth best team in the West?
I think they get worse. Obviously, you're adding more money to the books, so it'll be harder to kind of surround them with the talent necessary to be better.
If the team mostly stays the same, retirement could become a much more realistic option. There's also a basketball argument that doesn't get discussed enough. When Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and LeBron shared the floor, the Lakers performed well. But some of the team's strongest numbers came from lineups featuring Luka and Reeves without LeBron. That doesn't mean losing LeBron would be easy, but it does suggest the franchise has already started shifting toward a younger core. If LeBron returns, don't be surprised if a familiar face joins him.
I think if Austin gets paid in the kind of way that keeps him in town, then there's not enough money for LeBron to feel respected. And I could see him going up the coast and maybe doing the Warriors.
Kevin Love has been spending time with LeBron and several members of the 2016 Cavaliers championship team. And he's the type of veteran who could make sense on a minimum contract. At this stage of his career, the value would be more about leadership and locker room presence than major on-court production. As important as LeBron's future is, the biggest decision facing the Lakers may actually involve Austin Reeves. Reeves is approaching a massive payday. The Lakers have the ability to offer him a long-term contract worth well over $200 million.
He may take a meeting or two for appearances' sake. He's going to re-sign with the Wizards, likely on a 3-year, very large contract.
And recent reporting from The Athletic has sparked plenty of debate about whether the organization is fully committed to making that investment. A lot of fans are worried that paying Austin Reeves will somehow prevent the Lakers from keeping LeBron, but the situation isn't that simple. Because of Reeves' cap hold, the Lakers can use their available cap space on other moves first and then go over the salary cap to re-sign him using bird rights. In other words, a new deal for Reeves doesn't automatically come at LeBron's expense. The bigger issue is the NBA's second apron. That's the financial line teams desperately try to avoid because the penalties are severe. Once you're over it, roster building becomes much harder, trade flexibility shrinks, and even future draft assets can be affected. That's where Reeves' next contract becomes so important. If he signs for the absolute maximum the Lakers can offer, managing the rest of the roster becomes much more difficult. But if he agrees to a lower number, something closer to the range...
He started his journey here as a Laker and has made it very clear to us that he wants his journey to continue as a Laker.
Several reporters have projected the Lakers would have far more flexibility to improve the team. So while everyone is focused on LeBron, one of the biggest questions of the offseason may actually be how much Austin Reeves ends up getting paid and what that means for the Lakers' ability to build around him and Luka. Despite all the debate around Austin Reeves, his market may not be as strong as many people assume. Earlier in the year, several teams had the cap space to make a serious run at him. Since then, many of those teams have used that flexibility on other moves, shrinking the number of realistic bidders. That's one reason why reports about Reeves leaving Los Angeles have cooled off significantly in recent months.
He needed him, then he was gone the following week, so.
At the moment, the Brooklyn Nets are often mentioned as the biggest outside threat. They have the financial flexibility to make a competitive offer, but they're still far from contending, which could make the decision more complicated for Reeves. On one side, he can remain with the Lakers, stay in a system where he's developed into a star, play alongside Luka Doncic, and continue building his profile in one of the league's biggest markets. On the other, another team could potentially offer more money and a larger role. What's especially interesting is that recent reports suggest Reeves' choice may not come down strictly to salary. League sources have indicated that factors like fit, team direction, and his desire to spend his career with the Lakers could play a major role in whatever decision comes next. Reeves has been pretty clear about where he stands. He's openly said that he wants to stay in Los Angeles and compete for championships, not simply chase the biggest possible contract. That's exactly what the Lakers were hoping to hear. Of course, that doesn't mean negotiations will be easy. Reports still suggest Reeves could push for a very large deal, so nothing is finalized yet. But there's growing belief around the league that he may be willing to leave some money on the table if it helps the Lakers build a stronger roster around him. From the Lakers' perspective, bringing Reeves back is the obvious move. He's a great fit alongside Luka Doncic. He's still in his prime, and his production speaks for itself. Just as important, he's repeatedly talked about wanting to spend his career in Los Angeles. The challenge is finding the right number. Every dollar matters when you're trying to balance a contender's payroll, avoid major cap restrictions, and still address the team's biggest need. And that brings us to the question that has been hanging over the Lakers for years: finding a legitimate starting center. Long before Luka arrived, the organization was searching for an answer in the middle, and now that need has become even more urgent. The Lakers have been searching for a true rim-running center for a while now, and they almost solved the problem shortly after acquiring Luka Doncic. At the 2025 trade deadline, Los Angeles agreed to a deal for Mark Williams, a young, athletic center who fit the exact mold many believed Luka needed alongside him. The Lakers were willing to give up significant assets to make it happen, but the trade ultimately fell apart after Williams failed his physical. Just like that, their biggest roster need remained unsolved. Since then, the front office has continued exploring options. The goal hasn't changed: find a center who can protect the rim, finish around the basket, and thrive in a Luka-led offense. That brings us to two names Lakers fans constantly talk about. The first is Walker Kessler. Kessler has generated plenty of buzz after reports surfaced that he declined a sizable contract extension from Utah. At 7'2", he's one of the league's better young shot blockers, and on paper he looks like a perfect fit. That's exactly why so many Lakers fans have become fixated on the idea of bringing him to Los Angeles. A lot of Lakers fans saw Walker Kessler turn down Utah's extension offer and immediately started connecting him to Los Angeles. But it's not that simple. Kessler is a restricted free agent, which means the Jazz can match any contract another team offers him. Declining an extension doesn't mean he's looking to leave. It can simply be part of the negotiation process. In fact, reports have suggested that the most likely outcome is still Kessler remaining in Utah. The other name that's generated plenty of attention is Jalen Duren, and you can make a strong case that he's the more impactful player right now. Duren put together an impressive season, establishing himself as one of Detroit's core pieces. He's an elite finisher around the basket, thrives as a lob threat, and has the exact skill set many people imagine next to playmakers like Luka Doncic and LeBron James. Put a center with that kind of athleticism in a lineup full of creators and shooters, and the opportunities around the rim can pile up quickly. Some critics point to his playoff struggles, but a large part of Duren's game depends on how often he's being set up near the basket. In the right system, those strengths become much easier to maximize. The problem for the Lakers is the same one they face with Kessler. Duren is also a restricted free agent, and Detroit has every reason to keep a young player they've spent years developing. Even if the Lakers are interested, prying him away won't be easy. Here's the problem with the dream targets. Both Walker Kessler and Jalen Duren play for teams that can simply match offers and keep them. The Lakers can explore trade scenarios, and reports have suggested they're looking at creative ways to use cap space and assets to make something happen. But at the end of the day, any deal still depends on the other team being willing to cooperate. That's why the Lakers have to focus on realistic options, not just ideal ones. For me, every center target has to pass two tests. He needs to fit perfectly next to Luka Doncic, and he needs to be attainable. A lot of popular names only check one of those boxes. One player who checks both is Robert Williams. When healthy, he's exactly the type of center Luka has thrived with throughout his career. He protects the rim, finishes lobs, defends in space, and wouldn't cost nearly as much as some of the bigger names. The concern, of course, is durability. Injuries have followed him throughout his career, so any team acquiring him would be taking a risk. Another interesting name is Mitchell Robinson. Recent comments about the Knicks' financial situation have fueled speculation that roster changes could be coming. If Robinson becomes available, he'd immediately attract attention. Unlike restricted free agents such as Kessler and Duren, an unrestricted player can choose his destination without his current team having the ability to match offers. For the Lakers, that's a huge difference. Instead of hoping another franchise agrees to a deal, they could simply pursue the player directly. Mitchell Robinson may not be the perfect offensive fit next to Luka Doncic, but he does two things the Lakers desperately need: protect the rim and control the boards. More importantly, he's a realistic option, which already separates him from a lot of the names fans talk about. The ideal fit might be Isaiah Hartenstein. He brings defense, toughness, and the type of all-around game that works beautifully alongside a superstar playmaker. The problem is that Oklahoma City has every reason to keep him. Unless the Thunder make a financial decision that unexpectedly puts him on the market, it's hard to see a path to Los Angeles. And even if he did become available, his salary would take up a huge chunk of the Lakers' flexibility. Then there's John Collins, a name that gets mentioned often but doesn't really solve the Lakers' biggest issue. He's a talented player, but he's more of a scoring forward than a true rim-protecting center. The Lakers already have players in that mold. What they need is someone who can anchor the defense and thrive in the pick and roll with Luka. That's the challenge facing the front office. The centers Luka would love to play with and the centers the Lakers can realistically acquire aren't necessarily the same group of players. That's why someone like Robert Williams keeps coming up. If he's healthy, he checks a lot of boxes. The question is whether the Lakers are willing to bet on that health. And center isn't the only item on Luka's wish list. He's also made it clear that he wants more shooting around him. The Lakers' lack of depth was exposed throughout last season, especially compared to deeper teams. That's why a player like Quentin Grimes is intriguing. Unlike some of the restricted free agents we've discussed, Grimes would have the freedom to choose his next destination. While his breakout scoring stretch grabbed headlines, teams will likely evaluate him based on his larger body of work, which paints him as a solid two-way contributor who can provide shooting and backcourt depth. He's a reliable 3-and-D guard, and for a Lakers bench that struggled with consistency, he'd be a meaningful upgrade. Reports have also connected the Lakers to players like Norman Powell, experienced veterans, who bring shooting, defense, and versatility. The team would also like to keep some of its own pieces, including Marcus Smart, who Luka reportedly wanted in Los Angeles, and Luke Kennard, one of the league's most accurate shooters. Then there's Rui Hachimura, whose future might be one of the toughest decisions the Lakers face. Rui stepped up in a big way, averaging 17.5 points per game in the playoffs, while shooting an incredible percentage from deep. He's been one of the Lakers' most reliable floor spacers for years, and was one of the few bright spots during their postseason struggles. But roster building isn't always about talent, it's about fit and finances. If the Lakers move forward with a core built around Luka, Austin Reeves, and LeBron, someone may have to be sacrificed to balance the roster. Rui could end up being the player caught in the middle, not because he isn't valuable, but because the numbers get complicated. So what does the Lakers' plan actually look like? First, they work toward an agreement with Austin Reeves while keeping his cap hold in place. Then they use their available cap space to target a center and add depth, ideally addressing Luka's biggest request. After that, they can circle back and finalize deals with Reeves and LeBron using bird rights. And finally, the entire strategy depends on avoiding the second apron and maintaining enough flexibility to keep improving the roster. That's why this offseason may come down to one decision more than any other: Austin Reeves' next contract. The Lakers aren't just trying to build a playoff team. They're trying to maximize Luka Doncic's prime, navigate LeBron's final years, and prove that the blockbuster trade that changed the franchise was worth it. After going winless against Oklahoma City across the regular season and playoffs, it's clear this roster needs more than minor tweaks. The front office now faces a defining choice. Do they make aggressive moves to build a true contender around Luka, or do they largely run it back and hope for a different result? A few years ago, the Lakers made a promise when they brought Luka to Los Angeles. The summer of 2026 was supposed to be the moment they showed him their vision. Now that moment has arrived, and the moves they make over the next few weeks could shape the future of the franchise for years to come. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What moves should the Lakers make this offseason, and who would be your top target? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Ball Stories for more NBA coverage. Peace.